Yes! Ah, shoots, he scores! What are we doing? Baseball season started. Get out your Cracker Jacks. Your Cracker Jack, boys and girls. Come round the table and let's see how your team is spending and flourishing with their money. Here at SwingBadder, we just like to dig a little deeper and find out who's going to flip after the start of 10 games, who's going to flourish, who is going to flounder. Here I am joined by my favorite, Todd. How are you today, my brother?
Oh, I'm, as I like to say, fair to middling. I've discovered that Dr. Pepper sells a zero sugar drink, which is amazing, because I realized that Diet Dr. Pepper does not taste like actual Dr. Pepper, despite what they say. But this zero sugar is the stuff. And in the words of the commercial, it's the sweet one. That is now our sponsorship for the day.
There you go.
No. Diet zero sugar.
I just turned this crack into the Cracker Jack. Pretty good.
Dad's on the disabled list already.
Well,
so Dad will be speaking.
It's hard to find these things. I got this one on the internet, and they sent me these tiny, tiny box. But they sent me 3 of them, so we're cracking the first one.
Well, I would like to, before we get into the teams, there's some honorable mentions of players that started off really great. And by really great, I mean terrible. And I'm going just based on the batting average of individuals. And we're going to call this game Limbo because there's some players that are doing much worse than others. But let's start with some honorable mentions. Justin Turner of Boston, sitting right at the 212 mark so far. And I know when this airs, he will be different, but he's so far starting off not so hot for getting signed in the offseason. Francisco Lindor starting off with a 206, not very hot.
Shut up.
Brandon Nimmo starts off with a 192 after signing his big deal.
What is wrong with you?
Wait. There's another Met that got away. Carlos Carrera, who got away, is batting 182 to start the season. Not so fancy for the Minnesota Twins. Michael Taylor of the Minnesota Twins batting 171. Cody Bellinger of Scottsdale, Arizona. I loved him. You loved him. He's batting 167 to start the year off. Then we get into the real. We're going down here. Kyle Schwarber.
First of all, this list was obviously assembled with a clear prejudice.
I'm not even. There's some deep dives here. We're going to another layer of the ocean.
Okay.
Kyle Schwarber of the Philadelphia Phillies started out terrible. He had a great day today, so he's moved his average way up, but he was 158 after 10 games. Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros has celebrated out the championship a little hard. He's batting 150 to start the year. Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals of fame and prestige. Everybody talked about how great he was going to be, starting off the year at 143. And then we get to my favorites. And of course, we're going to start the bottom to the very bottom with Javier Baez. Javier Baez is currently sitting at 6th. There's 2 players right above him that I have to mention because they are so pretty. Eduardo Escobar of the Mets is batting 125. And Max Muncy of the Dodgers, both of which probably met at the same cruise liner this summer and ate from the same ship. One could even say the same shrimp cocktail, if you will. And he is batting 121 to start the season. So Max of the Dodgers has not started the way he could. And he used to be a Diamondback killer, but he clearly did not start the season off playing 8 games against the Diamondbacks. So that average is not what you want.
Good pitching.
So I track this down, and I'm going to let you know who gets paid the most here for the games that have been played. With 9 games in, Javier Baez is batting 121. He is clearly the highest paid player on my list at $22 million a season. So he's been paid so far $1.2 million to bat 121 with 0. That would be 0 home runs, everybody. And the Cubs and Mets are very thankful that the Tigers have him. Up on the list is an ex-Dodger. He is now with Boston. Kiki Hernandez. He is batting now after today's game an .097. He does have 2 home runs, and he is getting paid a mere $10 million a year. So he's only earned $500,000 for batting .097, folks. That is a bargain.
My gosh, at that average, 2 home runs, he's got to have like 50% of his hits are homers.
That would probably be... Actually, Dad, 67% of his hits are home runs. He has 3 hits on the year. 3. So $500,000 gets you 3 hits. Mr. Garcia of the Miami Marlins, who Todd got to witness, as the Miami Marlins are not very good. He is starting off 103. So he does have a home run, and he is getting paid $12 million, I think, for the next 5 years. So good on you, Miami. Javier Baez and Mr. Garcia could be on the same path. One player that I am absolutely shocked, blown away by, Mr. Josh Bell, signed by Cleveland. He is in the top 3 of terrible. Now currently batting .079 with 3 hits and 3 RBIs. So you can't say they weren't successful hits. He was signed for $16.5 million. That would be $916,000 for 3 hits, $300,000 a hit. We only hope that gets better, but that's what you're looking at when you pay. Another one that I thought was good, it clearly is not. Colton Wong of Seattle. Seattle picked him up in the offseason, paid him a mere $10 million, .074 with 2 hits on the year and 2 RBIs. And then topping it off is the Braves. Who would have thought a Braves player would be leading the league in batting average, tied with Colton Wong? Ozuna of the Braves has 2 hits, and Dad, they're both home runs.
Yep. They've been trying to trade him, but they can't cover up the batting average.
I'm just going to warn anybody out there. He is considered a DH. He is batted. To compare him to Nelson Cruz, who is like 46 and mashing for the Padres. Nothing about Ozuna screams playable. He did not play tonight as the manager decided to go with anybody with a real bat in their hands. That's the start of your 10 games, and as you can see, this can flop very quickly, especially batting average, get hot, get cold. But that was, I thought, was very interesting because you had some high dollars. Javier Baez has cemented himself in the bottom here. I think he'll be there for quite a while. I don't think he flips that. I would hope a couple of those guys do, but Kiki Hernandez, it may be over.
Do you have a list? Can you send that list out or something like that? I can't remember anybody on that list that you just set off because I'm so blinded by white rage by what you just said.
Were you blinded by the Mets? Let me go with the Mets.
No.
Again. Did you forget them?
Did you name any Diamondbacks at all? You homer?
Let me look at this.
You never
notable Diamondbacks on the list. That's the problem.
Alec Thomas.
No, there is a Diamondback. Christian Walker is in this list. He's batting 189, but they're 6-4. I mean,
well, and Alec Thomas going into Saturday did not have a hit for the season, but then he went 4 for 4 that night. So.
I mean, that just bounces you way up.
Yeah, he's over 200 after the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep good players down. There's a lot of dollars out there. Christian Walker's not making the money that some of these other folks are. So let's go into baseball here. So I have some bad news for those. We're looking at flips, flounders, and then flourishes. I think one team is going to continue to flounder, and the reason why is...
We're not going to talk about this list.
Oh, I would. Yeah, please tell me which men.
You're just going to rattle the list and just keep steamrolling.
Right? I do it
as if your observations after 10 games are not anything but total Bush League whack jobs at the knees of every Mets fan out there. What's wrong with you?
I just read stats.
You're not reading stats. You are selectively picking stats out. Christian. Oh, I mentioned Christian Walker. Oh, that's great. Did you mention Kyle Lewis?
Who's Kyle Lewis? Does anyone know who Kyle Lewis is?
He's the DH. He's the DH.
Of who?
The Diamondbacks.
How much do they pay?
I'm eating sauce.
But they don't pay him much, number one. And number two, he beat the Dodgers with a 2-run homer in the second game of the year. So
seriously,
And now
I
he's
mean,
hurt. Now he's
yeah, his heart was so full when he hit that home run against the Dodgers, and we appreciated that. I mean, that's his only hit all year. I'm good. Because, I mean, if you're going to have a hit for winning. And he did that. There's nothing you can argue about the list other than it's 10 games in and 10 games means nothing. And you have to get to 40 games for it to mean something. I was very surprised with some slow starts. And there's certainly some players on this list that are very slow. I'm shocked Chris Bryant isn't trying to be on this list. I was expecting more out of him.
He is.
Where's Chris Bryant? What's his average?
It doesn't matter. Did you see him with 2 outs in the 9th? Absolutely strike out with a chance to win the game? Did you see that? No, you don't mention that because you don't care about situational. You just care about the average. I just care about the average. It's the average that matters. And because you're like, oh, I'm surprised Chris Bryant's not on this list. Chris Bryant should be on the list. He should be on the list. Where's Chris Bryant right now? What's he hitting? 286 in games that nobody cares about because it's the Rockies.
I'll get to the Rockies. I have a whole thing about the Rockies.
You should have a whole thing about how your list is fugazi.
Do you want to get into the teams now, or are we going to talk? Individuals can stink and your team can still win. And yes, there is situational hitting. Yeah, like you just mentioned matters. Between the Diamondbacks player who hit a home run when it mattered.
I can't believe you're picking on Eduardo Escobar. The poor guy is out there knowing he's going to get replaced by Brett Batty any day of the week. And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, he's so disappointed. The Mets didn't shell out any money for Escobar.
Oh,
Escobar was the reason they let Correa, who, by the way, today is down with a bad back for the 2nd day in a row. Oh, I wonder who predicted that. Escobar's the reason the Mets didn't shell out for Correa. Right? And he's just a placeholder for Batty. Everybody knows it, but he makes your list. He makes points because he's not hitting. The guy's sitting there making
$9.5 million.
What's he?
$9.5 million,
which in Mets dollars is the equivalent of the league minimum.
True.
But then, like $9 million doesn't even register.
The worst one on this list is Javier Baez for percent of team salary with the Tigers. He makes $22 million. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
This one should be Verlander, who hasn't thrown a pitch for the Mets yet at $43 million.
I can't judge people on the disabled list. They get a box of Cracker Jacks. We already talked about that.
They should get a new training staff.
You know, how much do they pay their training staff? That's what I would like to know.
They should be paying them a case of Bud Light. And yes, I'm aware of the connotations of saying Bud Light, and they should tell them to take a walk.
So are we going to get into the floundering teams here?
I guess.
So
see the Mets. If you say the Mets, I swear I'm going to jump to.
I'm starting with a team that's true for baseball. This is an essential baseball fandom, and if I was in their wheelhouse, I would be very concerned. I think they're going to continue to flounder for this very reason. This team is currently leading the major leagues with a 294 average, as a team average 294, which is fantastic to start the year. However, to start the year, their record is 3-6. That is your St. Louis Cardinals. They are floundering. They did not start very well, and they're hitting great. When you hit 294, you should be 6-3 or 7-2, or perhaps 5-4. They are currently sitting first in the average. They have very low home runs and very low RBIs. So they're hitting when it doesn't matter, which is also a recipe for not so many wins, as you would say. And the Brew Crew have jumped all over it. They're 7-2. So the Brew Crew is in the division lead right now as we speak. I think the Cardinals will continue to flounder, but I do think the Brew Crew are going to flip, and they're going to start losing some games in that division, as well as the Pirates. Pirates started off very hot. Very happy for the Pirates.
But do you think the Cardinals pitching remains at that 4.81 ERA that they have? I don't think it does. I think that's got to balance off. All you need is for them to actually hold some runs.
It's timely hitting, and they don't have it right now, and they have a lot of great players. So I think they're going to continue to flounder. Now, at 20 games, we'll see where they're at. But
do you have a run differential for them?
Yeah, the run differential is -6. So they're not losing. Like, they're not getting blown out. They're just losing.
Yeah.
So it's but it's not a good sign, not a good start. But I mean, again, the Cardinals are solid. They're going to play a lot of bad teams. They still got the Reds. They still got the Pirates, but they didn't start very hot, and they have a very hot average. That's my, again, NL Central that nobody cares about. Anybody want to comment on the Cardinals possibly flipping it or floundering it?
No, they'll be back.
No, they'll flip. They'll flip. They'll flip.
Do you have the Brewers and the Cardinals flipping here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way the Brewers sustain that.
I would agree.
I don't think the Brewers can sustain that at all.
I'm very impressed Christian didn't bat so low that he's on my honorable mentions. He usually gets there with his 200 average. But he'll get there. I believe in him. I believe he'll flounder down there. The team going to the, I'm going to jump over to the AL Central because these are the divisions everybody cares about. Cleveland started 7-4. Minnesota started 6-4. I think this division is lining out exactly like we thought. White Sox are 5-6. Kansas City and Detroit are terrible. Couple things to note on this about teams. Kansas City is the lowest in the league at team batting average. The team average is 184.
Ooh.
That is
How many Royals players did you have on your list? I just want to know.
I had one of their best, Bobby Witt Jr., who is currently batting 143.
Well, but you have to make money to make his list. You can't.
Yes, people have to know who you are.
9 million? What?
I will make another note about the thing that makes me laugh. The Royals have the same amount of home runs as the Cardinals. They each have 10. One is batting 294 as a team. One is batting 184 as a team.
Well,
that is
I will say this.
Dramatic.
We're just putting on the right glasses here to positive news. When your team's batting 184, the good news is the games aren't taking very long because they cheap quick innings.
It's true.
Are we ever getting on base? The Detroit Tigers are third to last, batting 205.
Yeah.
So the Tigers in Kansas City are clearly really, really wanting to be in that SwingBadder playoffs. We said they were going to be terrible, and it was going to be one of those one to watch all year to get to 40. There you go, folks. Who's getting to 40 first here? Kansas City or Detroit? God knows Detroit paid a lot more money than Kansas City, so I think Kansas City gets to 40 first simply because they didn't pay as much.
Yeah, but right above that, you've got Minnesota and Seattle that are hitting 228 and 229. Those teams aren't staying there.
I'll get to the flipping and you're not wrong, but I mean, Kansas City and Detroit look pretty good there.
Yeah, well,
I mean, 184 you shouldn't be batting 184 as a professional.
Let's just look at the bad team records. Oakland can't be very good.
No, Oakland is second at 192, but we were going to get to them in divisions. But for the AL Central, if you're going to talk about ones to watch, SwingBadder, Kansas City and Detroit, who gets to the 40 first? That's a barn burner. And I don't think either team makes it before the All-Star game. Not nearly close. I do think the Minnesota Flounders, I think they're not gonna be second for a while. I don't buy the team, and I think Cleveland and the White Sox continue to bubble up to the top, and Cleveland's where they belong, so they're going to continue to be there.
No, I think Minnesota comes back. I'm still a Minnesota Twins fan.
I know.
I think they flip.
They're 6-4, so you think they're going to stay where they're at? They're going to continue to flourish, as you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not flipping to bad, in your mind.
Well, I thought you had them as bad because their batting average was so low. I mean, they have
no. I think that's one of the things about some of these teams in the bottom. I think Minnesota is poorly batting, but I think that's their team though. They don't have a lot of good offense. Well, in my opinion, you would disagree and you think their batting average is going to go up. But I think there's some teams that are lower than them that are going to start to hit. So let's go to the NL West. We're going to go to the NL West. We'll finish with the East teams. NL West is hard for me. I'm a hoer. Diamondbacks started the year off fantastic. 6-4. San Diego 6-4. Dodgers are 5-5. San Francisco and the Colorado Rockies are winding it out. I will say two things about this division has two bad teams. The Giants are bad and the Rockies are bad. And the reason why the Giants are bad, and I'm going to tell you this, they lead all the major leagues in strikeouts. That is not a good sign. And they lead it by, I think, about 10. They're currently sitting at 102 strikeouts. Not a good thing to start the year off with. But the Colorado Rockies, They are batting great, like they always do. They're 11th overall. They never will win. This is a bad team, bad organization, bad, as Todd said about Chris Bryant. So the Rockies are right where they should be. 4 wins is quite a lot for them. I think they started pretty hot, but I think the Giants are right where they should be in 4th, and that's the bottom of the NL West. I think they stay floundering there, those 2 teams.
I don't disagree with you. And listen, it's enjoyable to see Chris Bryant lose because he was talking so much smack when he was signing. I think that's, gosh, if there was ever like a SwingBadder press conference that delivers, it's Chris Bryant saying that he's never been on a losing team and then just proceeds to be as not clutch as humanly possible. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. I think I'm going to tell you, I was shocked at the Dodgers losing to the Diamondbacks like they did and coming out of Arizona not being in first place. I thought that was going to be something there. I think the Padres are maybe going to swoon a little bit. I think they're going to have a tough run of it. They're going to have a tough run of it.
A couple notes on the top of the division that are a little troubling to me, a Diamondback fan. Diamondbacks are currently batting 7th in the major leagues. That's very high.
Yeah.
That is very high. But I will tell you this, watching them, they are a slap it, steal it, run it down, oh no, I need a body bag team. They are not a home run team. They're not looking for the home run. They want to get on base. They want to run. They are not waiting for the next guy to get a hit because they don't know if he will. They are stealing. They are bunting. They are putting the ball out in play and making you make the plays. And as a fan of that team, they will be fun to watch. Will they stay 7th? I think that's very high. I think Dad has mentioned their hitting. They started off hot. They did beat the Dodgers when they should have. We have a nice month here where they play the Brew Crew, so it'll be fun to see how they do here in the next 10 games. But for me, I am very delighted that we are not sitting at 3-6 right now, or 3-7, or 6-4. Very delighted. For the Padre fans, you're 19th. You're not going to be 19th.
Wait, real quick, though, on the Diamondbacks.
Yes.
Do you know in the National League, they are leading right now with 17 stolen bases as a team. The next team is the Pittsburgh Pirates, which, listen, that injury to O'Neal Cruz is devastating. And the fact that everybody thought he hit the fact that everybody thought he hit the catcher was remarkable. But they're at 11.
Trey Turner School of Sliding. How many times do we have to tell people to go to that?
The New York Mets have 10 stolen bases.
I have a lot of faith.
Oh, interesting. I thought that nobody on the Mets could steal a base like Trey. I love you, Turner.
I'm impressed with that. I'm impressed when the Mets get on the base at all right now, the way they've been hitting. But we'll get to the NL East. We're sticking with the AL West. Padres are currently sitting 19th. I think they're going to be better than that. Yeah. They're 6-4 as well, and the Dodgers are batting. Although I don't know what
at the time of recording this, though, the Padres are losing to the Mets 5-0.
Right. So again, the Padres have to face the Mets, and the Mets are due to start hitting, in my opinion. But the Padres and Dodgers, I think something's off with the Dodgers. I thought there was something off when they lost all the players last year and this year. And I think there's something off. They do not look like the fearsome Dodgers. I am not as scared of these Dodgers. I think the Padres are more fearsome than the Dodgers. I still stand by my Padres Diamondback Dodger pick after 10 games. I feel good about it. Still feel good about it.
But I think it's situational. The Dodgers have the most home runs in the league. The Dodgers have the most runs in the National League. The Dodgers are not scoring. They're scoring more than anybody else in the league.
Their pitching took an awful hit this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a couple games, so you can't
but it's obviously not their offense. Their offense is performing. They're hitting around 250, as a team. They have 60 runs, 18 home runs. It's not bad.
This is what's shocking to me about the Cardinals. The Cardinals are batting 294, and they have 36 runs.
Right.
You could not find worse situational hitting than that.
What do they have a left on base?
I don't have that off the top of but I'm sure it's got to not be. It has to be very tragic. Because that run scored for them is really. You would expect the Cardinals to bounce back. So in this division, Todd, to your point, the Dodgers are fantastic. You think they're just going to bubble up and they're going to flip this and get on top of these two teams. And you see the Diamondbacks drizzling down to third, I would say, dropping down to third.
Yeah, I've never had the Diamondbacks at third, and I think they're going to come in last because you guys need to suffer.
Last play. All right, we're going to go to the AL West, where our Texas brother Kyle and his family wear Rangers gear regularly. The Rangers started off on fire, in fuego. But before we get to them, let's talk about the SwingBadder team of this division, the Oakland A's. Your Oakland A's, my Oakland A's, I guarantee you, if you give them $10, you can get a whole section to watch that baseball team.
Absolutely.
Not just to see a section. They're batting 192. They've scored 27 runs on the year. They're 2-7. They're pretty bad. They're a minus 45 to start the year after 9 games.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to be a minus 45? Detroit is respecting that, and they're a minus 35. So there are very few teams that have committed to bad baseball more than the A's. And a minus 45 tells me they're all in.
To be fair, they have not been caught stealing once.
How many stolen bases? 7.
They have 7 stolen bases. They haven't been caught stealing once. Mostly, I think, because the opposing catcher doesn't care.
Well, because they're ahead 11-0 when the guy steals.
Oh no, they just know even if the guy's on second, he's not coming home. Hey, you got
because you're gonna hit.
It doesn't matter.
Would they just let him run to third?
No. They probably just throw it back to the pitcher.
Just let it. Just if he goes to third, they'll go. Now we're paying attention. They have lost so badly to start the year. One of the teams that I think is flipping is Seattle. Seattle has all the makings of flipping. Their batting average is very, very low. They're 25th in the league. They started very, very poorly, and they're way better than that. Houston is 23rd in the league. They are a poor start as well. 4-6, Seattle and Houston. I think both of those teams flip with Texas and LA. This is a classic Angel start. The sun is not sunny yet. The people are not at the beaches yet. The distractions have not occurred yet. The Angels are playing baseball. Mike Trout looks amazing. I don't know if you saw a home run off the truck. It was fantastic in their home opener. Ohtani, everything about the Angels makes you love them, and they're still going to finish third or fourth. So I see this flipping. I thought the Rangers started off really good, made Dad worried. Dad was like, wow, the Rangers are something to watch. Not so fast, my friends. I think the Rangers are going to flip down. One of the interesting factoids of this division.
Wait a second. But with the Angels.
Yes.
Shohei Ohtani might be the best baseball player that has ever lived. And that conversation needs to start happening. Almost immediately. It is crazy what this guy is doing.
Yeah.
His ERA, I mean, for what it is, 2 games is a .75 ERA. With a whip of 1-0, in 2 games, he struck out 18 batters.
Yeah,
18 batters. And he's hitting like 340 or some ridiculous number like that. The guy's otherworldly. He has the same number of home runs as Mike Trout. How much money do you pay at the end of the year for this guy?
Ownership of the team is not enough. I totally agree. I mean, I think it was CC Sabathia said this. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. He just said Ohtani's the best player in baseball. It's not even close. It's not even close. And I mean, as best player ever to play the game, I mean, we have to go to way back in the day. But there's nothing like this we've ever seen.
No.
Nothing.
No, you could flirt with Babe Ruth was a pitcher and all.
No.
Not at the same time. He didn't do it at the same exact. Not like this.
He didn't have these numbers either.
What team do you want to see him on worse than anything? I know you're a big Mets fan. You're hoping he gets there, but like what team? Because he can't do it. Trout. You can't have these guys die in the Angels.
No, he cannot end up on the Angels. I don't think. Listen, does he end up with Hugh Darvish? with the Padres, like you got to think like World Baseball Classic. Like who were the Japanese players that he was playing with that he wants to play with?
Wouldn't you just give him the Rays ownership? Would you give him 50% of the team ownership and just let him play for the Rays?
I don't think he goes to the Rays. I think he goes to a big market team. He wants to
He's going to
Dodgers or Padres or Giants or Yankees or Mets. That's it. I don't think there's any other place for him to go.
Is it the West Coast as well because of the time difference so the people in Japan can watch?
It didn't matter. I don't think it matters.
They're watching no matter what?
Yeah. You know?
Let's just for one.
Verlander, what'd you say Verlander makes? 40 million?
43.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we got to pay Ohtani 40 million for pitching and 40 million for hitting.
Do it up.
There is not. What's the argument that he's not the greatest player? Like, find me that argument.
I don't know.
I mean, there is literally nothing like this. And the other thing that's great about this, how many pitchers who are good hitters, because there are a lot of good hitting pitchers that stopped them from hitting. How does this start a trend?
Well, you have to be really good to be a DH.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you, but the other thing that's great about having Ohtani is you don't have to lose a roster spot. You have a starting pitcher and a fielder, and you're not losing a roster spot.
The incredible thing is, you got to think, number one, there are really good pitchers out there, and he's competing. And there are also really good batters out there, and he's competing. It's not like, oh yeah, he's a decent like pitcher, or yeah, he's a decent, batter. He's
the best.
He's in the top 5 in each category in the league.
Yeah, he's not competing, he's winning. It's not competing. He's the best.
Right.
He's the best. Anyways, we're getting back to the flourishing. I think the Angels and the Rangers flounder. I think the Astros and Seattle pick it up. One of the things that's notable about this division, which is really quite sad, the highest average in this division is 17th in the majors. That's the Angels. Every other team is below that. Which is, all teams didn't start very well, but all it takes is one team to get hot, which happened last year with Houston, and they just ran away with the division.
I was going to say, you're telling me Houston and Seattle, those guys aren't going to stay down.
No, that's my point about them flipping up, and they don't even have that bad of a record right now. Like, they're not even that far off here.
Houston leads Major League Baseball in strikeouts.
For the American League?
For all of baseball.
For the National League, it's the Giants.
It's the Marlins have 102 strikeouts, tied with the Giants.
Yes, but the Marlins we know are bad. I like the Giants being bad.
The Marlins are not as bad as you think.
They played. They're done. We're going to the NL East since you want to keep talking about the Marlins and all that.
I didn't. You brought up the Astros. I wanted to point out where they sat.
Well, the Astros are 4-6. Texas is 5-4. The Angels are 5-4. We'll see where they're at after 20 games, but I see Houston and Seattle coming through a lot better than what they currently are. That's all I'm saying.
No, okay. All
right. NL East. This is one of the shocking stats that I read. The Washington Nationals are 8th in batting average.
What?
So, Todd, I don't know what that picture is of that player, but he's clearly doing great.
In the National League?
No, in all of baseball. The Nationals are batting .265, 8th in all of baseball. They have 3 wins for that.
It's because they went up against the wood chipper that is the Tampa Bay Rays.
I don't care what you say. They are floundering. They're not going to. Their batting average is only going down from here.
Right. This is a sell high.
Oh, and they're already last place easily. They're a -17. It's only going to get worse, folks. The Washington Nationals are only getting worse. The team that I think flips, and this is really obvious, the Phillies are a -22. They're 3-6. This is not going to stay, and I think today they are mashing and they're whooping up on some poor team that is
Miami
Yeah, the poor Miami Marlins are facing the Phillies as the Phillies decided to get better. They finally put Trey Turner where he belongs in the second spot. I appreciate that, Phillies, for making him the mojo where he needs to be.
But their batting average is second in baseball. I think they're like 285. You think they get better?
The Phillies?
How do you get better than second in baseball?
How are you at the Phillies at second?
Their average is 285 right now.
The Philadelphia Phillies.
Their batting average is 285. I'm looking at MLB.com right now as of recording this.
They were 261 to start the day. What did they do?
This game in Miami, everybody's hitting.
You've got to be kidding me. Are you being real right now?
Their batting average currently sits at 285. How many hits do they have in this Marlins game that we're taking a look at?
What do they have, 35 hits?
I don't know.
The Phillies were comfortably sitting 10th.
With what average? This is how fast things
261.
Well,
that's
They beat the Marlins 15-3 with 20 hits. They had 20 hits today. You said it. You said they were going to flip, and they flipped.
Holy.
They went hard.
Woo! 20 hits.
Yeah.
That'll put you up. Todd's like, how better is second? Well, I mean, geez, it'd be good if they spread it out.
Right.
Anyways, I don't think the Phillies are going to be that low, and Miami is clearly going to be fourth. Washington's fifth. Miami's fourth. I think Philly's going to move up. The one thing I will say about the Mets at 5-5 and the Braves at 6-4, the Mets could not have started off worse. They are currently 27th in batting average. I'm sure today's game is going to bring them up. Todd will tell me the stat, but they were sitting at 216 as a team average in 27th with a 5-5 record, which is fantastic. Because this team is
they're 218, but I got to tell you, they lead all of Major League Baseball in one stat.
Walks?
Nope.
What's that?
Nope, not walks.
What are we talking about? What do they lead them in?
They lead again for the second year in a row. They lead all of Major League Baseball in hit by pitch.
All right.
Well,
I mean, 10 in 10 games. 10 hit by pitches in 10 games.
Don Baylor would be proud.
Somebody needs to start plunking the Phillies. They've only been hit once.
Well, I think it has to do with the fact that they're scared of hitting the ball with a bat, which is why they're getting hit with their body. But again, they're not going to be a 216 team. There's no way. This is terrible.
Correct.
And they're not as bad as that. So they are going to, in my opinion, they're going to flourish because you start 5-5. You got Verlander who's not pitching. You don't have Edwin Diaz. You have so many players that aren't hitting right now that are only going to start hitting. So this is nothing but good news for the Mets. And then Atlanta is Atlanta. They are currently sitting at 9th overall at 263. They're 6-4. They lost to the Padres a couple times. It's going to be Mets and Braves and Phillies are going to be fighting this one out.
Yeah, that seems to be what it's going to be.
Any questions on the NL East, folks? Anybody thinks anyone's going to flip besides the Phillies, who just flipped today?
Holy cow. You got 20 hits in a game.
20 hits.
Miami had 9 hits. It's not like they're slouchers, but geez, they had 20 hits. And it was against Alcantara.
That's a lot of hits.
Alcantara, the Cy Young Award winner, got absolutely demolished.
Is he tipping his pitches?
He's tipping something. Tipping the waiter. I don't know. Tipping everybody. Jeez. 1-1 with a 5.79 ERA. That poor guy.
Oh, wow. Well, let's go to the AL East. The AL East has the team that I think is going to flip in the wrong way. Tampa started off 10-0, but before anyone gets excited, let's look at who Tampa had to play.
We pause for a sec. Nobody's excited about Tampa. Even Tampa's not excited about Tampa. MLB.com's trying to pump them up with number 1 in the power rankings as if that means something. But continue with your
No, they're not. They're not. You can't make that team number one for the sole reason of who they played.
It's disgusting.
They played the Oakland A's and trounced them every game. Like it was minor league versus major league. Good for them. They did their business. That's what they were supposed to do.
Correct.
They also played. They're playing the Red Sox right now, which is on our team list of terrible teams. Right? They also played. Who do we start off with? This team's schedule is the best schedule. If anything, what we should have told our radio listeners to start the season is put your money down on the Rays being the last undefeated baseball team.
Right.
That is the best bet you could have had based on the fact that they were playing all the SwingBadder teams to start the year. They started with the Tigers. Then they played the Nationals. Then they played the A's. Now they're playing Boston. And they finally play a real baseball team in the Toronto Blue Jays on the 14th of April. So it took them 4 series to get to a real team. Because I'm sorry, Boston is the bomb of that division. So Boston's the worst in that division. The Nationals are the worst in their division. The A's are the worst in all of baseball in their division. The Tigers are worst in their division. You could not start with a better schedule than the Rays. So the Rays could possibly start 13-0 and then proceed to go to 500. But wait.
No, because guess who they play after the Blue Jays?
Thank you. Please tell.
The Reds. Then after that is the White Sox.
Well, everybody's going to play the bad teams. You have to give them credit for not losing a single game.
Dad, you can play bad teams, and you can also have a cluster of bad teams.
I know, but if you have a 3-game series against Detroit, the odds are you're going to win 2, not 3, right? It's just odds. And they've won 3. I mean, they haven't lost. Usually you're going to lose one of those games.
All right,
Dad, it's like Joey Chestnut's going to a Golden Corral during All-You-Can-Eat week. This is the easiest knockoffs.
So let's talk about a couple things that we know are not going to be realistic. This team is plus 58.
No.
Through 10 games. They are winning on average by 5.5 runs per game.
No.
We know for a fact that's not going to happen. Similarly, the Brew Crew is plus 25 through 9 games, so we know that's not going to keep going. So we know a couple things are not going to happen. So let's just talk about that. Yankees are more respectable at plus 18. The Yankees are where we expect them to be at 6-4. Toronto's where we expect them to be at 6-4. Tampa Bay is not going to be this team that is currently being propped up for nobody to care about. They are going to flounder back down to 3rd or 4th. I would love to say the Orioles have a lot of fun. They have stolen bases. They're hitting the ball. They're a young team. They're a good time. But this division is rounding out the way we thought. I think I said the Rays are 4th. 10-0 means they probably are not 4th, but they could still end up there.
At the end of May, the Rays will be 4th.
End of May.
The Rays will be 4th. They have to play. So they have 2 series against the Yankees. They have a series against the Mets. They have a series against the Blue Jays. They have a series against the Dodgers. They got a series against the Orioles. End of May, the Tampa Bay Rays are 4th. It's not going to be the same way. Just start playing taps. Get the trumpets out.
So you're like a blackjack hand, right? You've won a couple hands, so now you're betting against them.
Well,
you're walking. You're not even going to bet.
No, just you won money, Rays. Now it's time to walk.
Right, but if I'm gambling in Vegas, I'm going to bet against the Rays. I'm going to take the points.
Now I'm going to switch to the don't pass line.
Yes,
now I'm hitting the don't pass. On May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, I move all my bets to the don't pass.
The Rays are currently batting 2nd in all of Major League Baseball. They currently have 24 home runs, which leads Major League Baseball. These are things that are just not sustainable.
No.
But again, they didn't play anybody.
Right.
So, but here's what you're missing on this.
What am I
saying? Say you start off like they did, terrible teams. They're 10-0, okay? Not 8-2. They're 10-0. Take your favorite great team, the Mets, or everything, Yankees. Yankees play against those teams. They're not going to go 10-0. They might go 8-2, but let me tell you something. I know they're lousy teams, but to never lose a single game, you got to give them credit for that.
The Yankees would be 11-0 after 10 games playing these teams.
No, it's baseball. One squiggly little hit, and you lose the game against somebody you shouldn't lose to.
Things that I'm fascinated with is who gets minus 100 first. Miami, Detroit, or Oakland?
Oakland.
I mean, Oakland's got to be hands down.
Oakland may set a record for the least wins in Major League history.
No, you're not wrong.
All right, everybody, that's your 10-game report at the end of the May. We'll come back at the end of May. Why don't we just wait to do a podcast at the end of May? We'll see if the Mets can be above 216. And maybe they what do we got them at hit batters for Mets? Are we at 25 at the end of May, Todd?
25 at the end of May. They're going to be over 50.
Over.
They're going to be over 50. They're averaging one per game.
Sounds fantastic. This is SwingBadder, over 50 hit by pitcher. So I'm excited. Baseball's fantastic. If you can go to a game, go to a game. You can see there's lots of action. Stolen bases, hits, action.
And you're out in under 3 hours.
Yes, you have time to go home and watch the news, everybody in Arizona. Yes, you do. I'm your host, Brendan. Thank you so much, Todd and Dad. We look forward to this next time.
Nothing better than a batter.
All right. Love you, Todd.